Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you can hear me. Give me a 1 in the chat. I'd appreciate it greatly. Thank you, Wayne. All right. Let's get this party started, baby. Thank you to those who let me know you can hear me. Welcome back, Wayne. Beautiful spirit. Welcome, Joe Graves. Thank you so much. Donna Campbell, hello to you. Welcome. Talking about a few things tonight. It's still Monday night here on the West Side. On the West Coast, Los Angeles, West Side, 9:20, going on 9:30 p.m. So happy Monday to everyone who is still experiencing this Monday. We're going to get this thing going. Thank you, Joe. Peace, world, peace. Welcome or welcome back to Goddess Dawn Speaks, aka the $1 Trillion Goddess, baby. I am Goddess Dawn. If you don't know now, you know. And I'm back. We talking about Diddy. We're talking about the Menendez Brothers' daddy. Because I didn't know he was in the music industry. I sure didn't know he worked at the same label as Clive Davis. And we're going to talk about it. So let's start with Diddy and his new charges. Every day, man, another day, another SA charge. Child, come on now. So yeah, this is from CNN. There's quite a few articles out. Some of them have more information than others, so I may skip around a bit, but they say that Sean Diddy Combs has been accused of assaulting Making the Band teen contestant and 10-year-old boy in new lawsuits. Now, I'm not going to read. I didn't pull up the actual court documents because I'm still behind on some of this stuff. It's a lot of filings back and forth. But these are the lawsuits from Tony Busby's firm, the civil suits. This is not the criminal indictment. But they're saying that there's 2 new civil lawsuits that have been filed against Sean Diddy Combs by anonymous male accusers. I'm going to repeat that, who claim they were minors when they were assaulted by the music mogul during auditions. One who claims he was 10 years old at the time. Combs said he denies the latest claims against him in a statement to CNN. The embattled musician and businessman who is being held in custody in New York as he awaits criminal trial is now facing at least 27 civil cases. 27 now. One John Doe states in his lawsuit that he auditioned for Combs in 2005 at a hotel in New York at age 10. He was given soda by Combs that he alleges was laced with drugs. According to the lawsuit, Combs then forced Doe to perform oral S after he resisted. Doe lost consciousness and later woke up in tears with his pants undone and pain in his a hole. It says, yeah, and buttocks, the lawsuit states. 10 years old. The other John Doe in a separate lawsuit states he was 17 in or around 2008 when he attended a 3-day audition for the MTV competition series Making the Band. Doe claims that on the first day of the audition, during a one-on-one interview, Combs asked plaintiff hypothetical questions about handling situations involving sexual pressure. This is in quotes. And this is in quotes as well. As Combs described these scenarios, he began to assault plaintiff by touching plaintiff both over and under his clothing, including groping and fondling his penis and instructing plaintiff to undress. And you just going on an audition, trying to be on TV, trying to get your music career going, and this is what you have to endure. On the second day, see, this is my problem, because there would be no second day, okay? But on the second day of auditions, Combs allegedly told the 17-year-old Doe that he needed to undress to, in quote, demonstrate the ability to embody a sex idol persona. This encounter eventually escalated into Combs forcing the plaintiff to perform oral on him and Combs sodomizing the plaintiff. The following day, the plaintiff states Combs and his bodyguard S assaulted Doe. Wait, so was it a 3-day, like, in a hotel or a mansion, or were they supposed to be coming back? Because you came back a third day after all of that and didn't go to the police. And I'm not victim blaming or shaming, trust. It just irks my soul. Some of this stuff is not properly on the books because Diddy trying to squeeze up out of that jail cell. But anyway, let me continue. The following day, the complaint states Combs and his bodyguard S assaulted Doe. He was then eliminated from the competition after all of that. They cut him. As Combs claimed that plaintiff was untrustworthy due to his reservations about performing oral on his bodyguard. So does that mean that anybody who passed through the auditions, do we assume they all went through the same test? Or was he just picking on certain people? Says when they reached CNN for comment, Combs' attorneys, when reached by CNN, for comment, his attorneys didn't respond to the specific allegations into the new lawsuits, but denied that he was ever assaulted or trafficked anyone. They've been saying this. I'm not even going to read the statement. But these two new lawsuits were filed in New York State Court today. Both accusers are represented by Tony Busby and co-counsel who did that press conference, if you recall. And at the time, they had over 120 alleged victims, but now there's over 200 that they vetted and plan on filing suits for independently. And this is what this is. That's why every day we're seeing new suits, because there's 200 of them that they are planning on filing. So this one is about the same lawsuits. This is from Variety. Let me come over to the comments. Yes, please hit the like button. Thank you so much. Tony Busby said he was going to be dropping the lawsuits left and right. He did. Queen said, hey, Queen Keish, I'm just waiting on the charges. Right. These are civil suits. So yeah, there are no charges with these. However, the feds are watching, I'm pretty sure. And if these people have enough evidence or their testimony is believable enough, you might see them when these super when this indictment gets superseded, because it will be. There is 25 minors, so it's like 21 left to go. Oh, that's horrible. Melanin Mommy, welcome. Wow, Diddy could be connected to the Menendezes. Wow, I hope they bury him. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. The Menendez case is a little bit tricky. Beautiful Spirit, I wonder if everyone went through the abuse. Yeah, that's what I was asking when the auditions was going on. Same here. All right. I just wanted to read some of this from this other article. In an attempt to help their son's career aspirations, the boys' parents hired an industry consultant who recommended they fly from their home in Los Angeles to New York to meet with music industry figures. Okay, so the parents in this case hired a consultant to basically chaperone their son. And the chaperone was to fly him with them in LA to New York to meet with these industry figures. During the trip, the consultant arranged for Combs to meet with the young boy for an audition, and Combs asked to meet with the boy alone before meeting with the family. The consultant took the boy to Combs' hotel room and left him alone with him. And see, that's where this person, this consultant should be also held accountable for this. Because who told you to do that? The boy performed a few rap songs for Combs, who told him he could, quote, make him a star, end quote, and asked how badly he wanted it. According to the complaint, plaintiff responded as might any 10-year-old child that he would do anything. Of course, a 10-year-old child doesn't know what anything could actually mean, do they? It says another person present then gave the boy a soda, which he drank. Shortly after, he began to feel a little funny, which the plaintiff's attorney claims was because the drink was laced with drugs. It says including but not limited to GHB and or ecstasy to a 10-year-old. After consuming the soda, Combs allegedly told the boy to move closer to him and pushed him down. Okay, now let me issue a trigger warning here in case anybody is sensitive to this type of lewd commentary, because we going there. So he asked the boy to come closer to him, pushed him down, telling him something to the effect of, quote, you have to do some stuff that you don't want to do sometimes. You have to do some stuff you don't want to do sometimes. And so this was, I guess, how he explained it out to everybody who wanted to get through his gates, the gates that he's keeping. Because he was the ultimate gatekeeper when it came to the music business, and told this kid, you have to do some stuff you don't want to do sometimes. And this is where he should be talking to the parents or the consultant or an adult, and not talking about SAing, talking about more so expectations, professional expectations, being where you need to be on time, doing the work, but not this. It says, once pushed down, Combs exposed his penis and told him to kiss it, in quotes. After refusing, Combs apparently forced him to perform oral, and the boy shortly after lost consciousness. It says when he came to, Combs's, quote, pants were undone and his anus and buttocks hurt badly, end quote. He cried and said he wanted to see his parents, to which Combs told him that if he said anything to anyone, he would hurt his parents. When the consultant returned, she noticed he was badly shaken, in quotes, and took him back to his parents, who ascertained he was lethargic, in quotes, acting differently. In the time since the alleged assault, the John Doe has suffered from, quote, severe depression and anxiety, which leaves him hopeless and fatigued. Now that consultant talking about, oh, he looked badly shaken. He was badly shaken. Well, did you ask any questions? It says in the second lawsuit filed today in New York, a different John Doe claims that Combs forced him to perform oral on him in a during a 2008 audition for Making the Band when he was 17 years old. During all three auditions, Combs allegedly coerced him to engage in sex with himself and his bodyguard. Now, who are these bodyguards? Is this Big Joe again? I mean, every bodyguard seemed to be, I mean, everyone that we hear about, all these lawsuits have a bodyguard attached to it. Says that the bodyguard was referred to as T. All right. And it was as a test to see how badly he wanted to make it in the music industry. After visually expressing discomfort and hesitation in the situation, Combs told the John Doe that he would be, quote, keeping an eye, end quote, on him, which ultimately led to his elimination from the competition. In response to the first suit, representatives for Combs shared a statement with Variety disavowing the claims, which I'm not going to read, but he's saying, I didn't do it. The latest suit echoes a similar one filed last week when a Jane Doe accused Combs of rugging and raping her when she was 13, all while an unnamed male and female celebrity watched. Combs, we know he's currently incarcerated in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn after being arrested on September 16th by Homeland Security. And we know all of these things. Let's see if there's comments. The comments are fun sometimes. Just one comment. Diddy, you ran, but you couldn't hide. Disgrace to the music world. I would say disgrace to the world, period. I mean, this is insane. But we are talking about 30 years of offenses. We're talking about a man who ran around like he was running the world. I'm the king of the world. I'm told he used to say, the lady who was on the soft white underbelly, who said she was at a freak off, said he was running around, I'm the king of the world. And why do his eyebrows go up on both sides? They have that thing on it look like horns want to come out of there. Why? Why, Diddy? Why, Diddy? Okay, so let me come back over here to see if y'all have anything to say about this craziness. When it comes to my child, I'm not sending them nowhere without me all up in the mix. Exactly. And it's unfortunate that, especially back then, the technology wasn't what it is today. We don't have as much access to the information that we have today, to where now we really do know about some of these nefarious things going on because of the internet. Mostly we are getting information faster. We're getting it from more sources. It's not as controlled as it used to be. And so back then, they didn't have such luxuries. And there was also a lot more trust placed in adults. But now we know we can't do that. No more of that. So let's go on to the next Diddy story, child. Because, it's Monday night. It's too early in the week for all this. Oh, and my apologies we missed our election live. Thanks, Baby Yoda. No, but she wants to do it next weekend. She wants to get closer to the election. So we're going to do that. Just keep your notifications on. But yeah, so Diddy's team addressed the rumor of allegedly poisoning Jamie Foxx. And to no surprise, the rumor has been denied, right? But let's just see exactly what's being said. Diddy's team is clearing up rumors that he had something to do with Jamie Foxx's hospitalization. So yeah, on Friday, TMZ reported on the taping of I won't say TMZ reported. We talked about it before TMZ even talked about it, but they talked about Jamie's highly anticipated comedy special, What Had Happened Was, and the details of what fans could expect. Sources close to the event stated that one joke found Jamie allegedly tying his hospital to Combs. While many people speculated that Foxx was speaking his truth regarding the disgraced mogul, sources told the outlet that Foxx's comments were merely a joke. See, now they're trying to clean it up. Oh, he was just joking. I didn't hear that. Page 6 previously reported that Foxx's stand-up special and garnered two different previously reported that Fox's stand-up special garnered two different reactions to his Diddy joke. One source claimed he was serious, exposing Diddy, while the other said it was obviously a joke that if Diddy was responsible, I'd be dead. And I think that was that big homie C guy that we talked about, who said he was there too, and he heard some of these things, but he said it was jokes. That was it. Now Combs' team is saying enough is enough with the apparent allegations. All Hip Hop reports that the Moguls team sent over an email calling out the idea that Diddy was behind the comedian's recent health scare, calling the claims outlandish, ridiculous, and baseless. And yeah, they have to put this fire out before it gets any wilder. Because with all these things going on with Diddy and the feds on him, if Jamie Foxx is working with the feds or has given a statement or has given evidence, we don't know. And guess what? Neither does the defense, because the defense doesn't even have all the discovery yet. That's the problem they're having, is that they're hearing all these things. Like the New York Post had posted that that one article. I'm gonna have to pull that up too, because I talked about it, but I didn't pull up the actual article on Friday, saying that they were talking to an agent, and the Fed agent gave them all this confirmation that, oh yeah, that's true. We have the evidence to match that. Yep, you heard that right, because I saw that tape. And the agent, if this is true, we don't know if it's true. The New York Post could be BSing and could be trying to sabotage this trial as well, in my opinion. But they don't have the defense doesn't have the evidence, so they're saying, well, how are they corroborating evidence against rumors in the New York Post, and we ain't seen evidence? We haven't seen the discovery. So they're basically trying to say this isn't true because Jamie Foxx, this is not, basically just saying that as far as we know, this is not true. But as far as we know is all you know. You don't know nothing. Jamie Foxx could be working with the feds and could have provided them with whatever it was to, prove that this is the case. But they don't have the evidence yet. They're still waiting on the government to download and open up encryptions and do all kind of different things, and also just simply give them the info that they have. They said they need to the end of the year. So between now and the end of this year, or whenever that evidentiary hearing happens, and because they're going to contest evidence, okay, they're going to contest. But until then, if you see his defense trying to tell you or tell us, the people, that this isn't true, they don't know it's not true, because you ain't seen the evidence. We haven't either. So if the feds are saying something, they're dang sure going to be able to back that up. Okay. So they're saying it's baseless, it's ridiculous, it's outlandish. So what I'm getting vibes of is these people choke no joke, and big homie CC, these people who came out to say, oh, Jamie's taping, I was there and he said this and he said that and blah, blah, blah. Well, they may just ruin that show for us, because you can rest assured Diddy's lawyers are not just responding to an article. They're probably sending a cease and desist to the comedy people to say, you better cut out anything having to do with Diddy, or y'all gonna get sued down to the red meat, to the white meat. Okay. So they might cancel the show altogether or put it on hold. We don't even know when this show is supposed to come out. They might be taping this show and say, okay, as soon as Diddy gets found guilty, then we're gonna put the show out. They done ruined the thing for us. It's supposed to be a surprise attack, but they told us what was going on and gave Diddy's team time to do whatever it is they're gonna try to do. They're not gonna just lay down for this. Come on now. So, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this too. Let me click on that real quick. I'm gonna save that one though. All right. Moving on. I don't have time for this. BS. All right, let me come on over. Hi Bianca, welcome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you for hitting that like. All right, y'all. So on to the next story. Okay, so today, thank you for Beautiful Spirit for sending me this story. The Bureau of Prisons launched an interagency operation at federal jail in New York housing the same federal jail New York housing Sean Diddy Combs. So the MDC in Brooklyn, where Sean with the federal cell, the federal jail, the only federal jail in New York apparently got raided today by the Bureau of Prisons. It says investigators from multiple federal agencies launched an interagency operation on Monday that troubled New York City jail. At the New York City jail where Sean Diddy Combs is being held. The investigator, prisons, the Justice Department's Inspector General's office, and other law enforcement agencies descended on the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, the Bureau of Prisons said in a statement to the Associated Press. The law enforcement operation was designed to achieve our shared goal of maintaining a safe environment for both our employees and the incarcerated individuals housed at MDC Brooklyn. Prison officials declined to provide specific details about the operation. It says Combs' lawyers have highlighted a litany of horrors at the jail, including deplorable conditions, rampant violence, and multiple deaths, unalivings, as they've made repeated attempts to get him released on bail while he awaits trial next May on S trafficking charges. Let's see, they're going to just kind of go into the rest of why he's there. Let me see. Okay, so it says last month, federal prosecutors charged 9 inmates in a spate of attacks from April to August at the Metropolitan Detention Center, the only federal jail in New York City. The allegations detail serious safety and security issues at the jail, including charges after 2 inmates were stabbed to death and another was speared in the spine with a makeshift ice pick. A correctional officer was also charged with shooting at a car during an unauthorized high-speed chase. How are you having a high-speed chase at the jail? Wow. So, well, actually, I skipped this paragraph, but let me read it. It says the hip-hop mogul's detention and a rash of crimes connected to the jail in recent months have further galvanized public interest, leading to increased scrutiny and a push by the Department of Bureau of Prisons, and hold the perpetrators accountable. Earlier this month, an inmate was charged in an unalive for hire plot that led to the death of a 28-year-old woman last December outside a New York City nightclub. According to prosecutors, the inmate used a contraband cell phone to orchestrate the plot from behind bars while awaiting sentencing for directing a different shooting years earlier. Wow. The criminal charges offered a window into the violence and dysfunction that have plagued the jail, which houses about 1,200 people, including Combs and Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of the collapsed FTX cryptocurrency exchange. And that guy is supposedly his bunkmate. Says the total is down from more than 1,600 in January. And in a statement from the Bureau of Prisons today, it said that its operation in Brooklyn had been planned in advance and there was no active threat. So, and if there was, would they tell us? Probably not. They said they would not provide additional details about what investigators were doing until the operation was complete. There was no press conference today, by the way, about it. So it says in an effort to maintain the safety and security of all personnel inside the facility and the integrity of this operation. It says that the facility in an industrial area on the Brooklyn waterfront is used mainly for post-arrest detention for people awaiting trial in federal courts in Manhattan or Brooklyn. Other inmates are there to serve short sentences following convictions. And it says that those held at the Brooklyn jail have long complained about violence, dreadful conditions, severe staffing shortages, and the widespread smuggling and other contraband, some of it facilitated by employees. At the same time, they've They say they've been subject to frequent lockdowns and have been barred from leaving their cells for visits, calls, showers, or exercise. Twice denied Combs asking Second U.S. District Court, Circuit Court of Appeals to grant his release. Now they're saying arguments are rescheduled for November 4th, but I believe they have filed an abeyance for that. The Diddy's team has to pause that so they could go back to the district court. We're waiting to hear when that hearing is going to take place, because the district court, I believe, will be hearing his third bail attempt argument. That was all a mouthful. And what I want to say to this is, I'm thinking about when R. Kelly was in this jail, because he was in this jail too before he got transferred to his permanent housing out in Boom F, wherever that is, North Carolina. But before he was there, he was sitting in this soot. And as far as I know, he didn't do any complaining. And his lawyers probably weren't as savvy as Diddy's lawyers. But I think that R. Kelly is the type who sat in that soot when he was at home. He was not probably like Diddy. Diddy, we've seen his houses and, on the TikToks and whatnot. And we know he's living real clean and real pretty and real expensive. Okay. Now, I don't know about R. Kelly, on the other hand. I don't even know if R. Kelly ever owned any property. But it's just, to me, I'm looking at now that Diddy's in here, Mr. Highfalutin himself, and he's probably got his nose turned up and his mouth all curled up like, he can't take this type of living, child. So a man with power is going to use his power. And people might want to say, oh, Diddy don't have no power. He still does, because he still has probably access to things and means and ways to out people and bribe people and extort people. I'm pretty sure that's why he didn't get bail. So he's still a dangerous man. And I think this dangerous man, this pretty prissy, dangerous man sitting in that nasty jail, and he can't live like that. So he's calling the Bureau of Prisons down there. Like, you guys need to come down here. I don't want nobody stabbing me up. I need to make sure I'm the only one with a phone up in here. And I don't want nobody plotting on me or my family outside of this joint. So come down here and clean this mess up. And here we have a raid today. They won't tell us why. And there's no threat, they say, because Diddy told them to do it. Diddy said, if I can't get out, y'all gonna clean this place up, because I don't live like this, okay? I could see arrogant ass Diddy orchestrating something like that. Child, the way that he thinks he running the world. Oh, Bianca, yes, we ring bells over here. Ray all day. What's going on? Girl, two new lawsuits. One was 10 years old at the time. One was 17, auditioning for making the band. 3 whole days of SAing of this 17-year-old, and then they cut him, child. They didn't even let him on the show. So now we're talking about how the BOP raided his housing, or the MDC where he's being housed. And I think he has something to do with that. I'm telling y'all, my instincts say that while Diddy is there, if he can't go home, y'all gonna make this my home. You gonna clean me up. I'm very interested to see where he's actually being housed. Why do I see him in this like king's chair? You know what I'm saying? He got people at his beck and call, eating on turkey legs. Okay. Okay, beautiful spirit, who she can't get on here for whatever reason, but she got some things to say. So let's see. Tell the people no raids was happening frequently until Diddy got caught up. Okay, yeah. So yeah, this was a surprise. This is why everybody's wondering what's going on. Why is this happening? Because this is not something that's happening ongoing. This is not an ongoing, we care about them and our people and we want to make sure everybody's safe. We got summons down here, okay? And we're getting our pockets padded. Because they're saying that there are celebrities and higher ups, elites, or whoever that are supporting Diddy behind the scenes. They're not coming publicly, but behind the scenes, they want to make sure he's good because they don't want to get pulled into this mess. So if they can't pay off victims and all of that, they're gonna make sure Diddy is happy with them. Don't tell on me, please, Diddy boy. Please don't. Here, whatever you need, what you need from us. We can't get you out now, but we can make your stay real nice. He's like, yeah, get rid of all these weapons. And matter of fact, nobody else should have a phone either because they might be plotting on me and my family. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I thought that was interesting. But we're gonna move on. I found this little story. So this is somebody who's about to file with Busby, but he hasn't filed yet. But he said Diddy tried to unalive him. She said the inmates are gonna blame Diddy. Yeah. Yeah, they probably will. I'm pretty sure they were not happy with today's raid. Okay, let me find this on my phone because I cannot play the audio from my computer. Here we go. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. Now I really don't know who this dude is named Relentless Aaron. Let's just hear what he has to say, okay?
My dad, and by the way, my dad grew those stores with one leg.
And real quick, I know I've seen people asking some questions here, so I just
Okay.
So before we go further, I'll just kind of tell them, and you can jump in. So people are asking, is talking going to hurt, your case? And here's what I will say based on my experience. His attorney is Tony Busby. That's who his attorney is. And if you don't know who Tony Busby is at this moment, he's the one who's been filing the bulk of these suits. He's the one who did the press conference. He's the one, he filed the 7 last Monday. And tomorrow, I guarantee you, we will probably see more of those lawsuits drop. Now, most of those suits, when they're coming out as John and Jane Doe's. So I've spoken to Relentless about this, and I said, is this for your suit? Like, are you coming out as a John Doe? Or are you going to use your name? He's like, no, I'm going to use my name. So here's the thing. I don't know. His lawyer's not told him to speak or not speak at this point in time. Tony's not said that. But what I can say based on the ones that I've covered, I don't think it would make a difference because it's a civil case. There's not another celebrity in this case. It's just going to be Diddy. And as soon as it's filed, you guys have seen how this goes. The record, it becomes public record, and the news stations have copies of all of it. So once it's filed, it's still the same discussion. You guys are just getting it before it's filed, which we don't remember. They have 292 cases out of the 2020 special. So we don't know how many that's up to. So they're doing, a handful every week, dropping them on Monday. So his is probably going to be in the earlier batches, but we just don't know yet. So just to kind of let you guys know a little bit of backstory on that. Now, that being said, so you had met Diddy or Puffy at that time. He was an intern, right, with Andre, and then kind of I don't want to. You tell it so much better than I possibly could. So if you don't mind, share kind of what happened next to where, any other dealings you had with him, and then where the kind of, it was so, based on what you told me on his part, it's so dumb to get angry about what he got angry about, in my opinion, but, share that with them.
Yeah. So, first of all, Puffy and I grew a relationship by having conversations and meeting up. And after Andre introduced, and he was interested in the come up. He was interested in getting in the business more. He was an intern at the time. His first mover advantage was that he was an entertainer. He was dancing for the Father MC, right? And so now he's become a major sort of implant at the record company. And so now you got to meet and collaborate with other artists on an artist basis, right? And so what that did is it enabled him to be resourceful. And how he was resourceful is he would throw these parties, okay? And so he would throw parties, and he would put what they call special invited guests on the card, on the invitation, which is these 4x6 cards. And that is a hustle. Like everybody knows that was a hustle. When you put special invited guests, that means they may come, they may not come. If they don't come, it's not my business. You paid your money. That's what it is. So because he had the in, so to speak, with these artists, he went ahead and he did that. And whereas other people like myself, promoters, we would actually have to pay a deposit for an artist to be able to even name on a on a flyer to promote an event. So that's pretty much the relationship. We started doing parties together. Then I said, Puff, why don't we do a basketball game? I have relationships with the radio station, which was Kiss FM at the time, and so he liked the idea, and so I says, I'll tell you what, I'll let you play. This is a celebrity thing. So the Kiss Cards was the name of the team for Kiss FM. By the way, Kiss FM was a major radio station in New York that Wendy Williams was a host on and a part of. Job. And but me, my relationship with Kiss FM was not as an entertainer. It was I bought radio time for them, for my parties, for my concerts, and then also my friend that I mentioned with clubs. He was even way bigger than me. He had major clubs in New York City that he owned, and he bought major radio time. And I'll tell you why all of that is relevant. All of that is relevant is because Steve ushered me into the business. He ushered me into the business. He's let me have the run of his club behind the scenes in the office, meeting all these entertainers, all these things. I was able to book artists at Bentley's club, and I was able to they were streaming live on the radio. So I had that sort of, I was in that ecosystem that enabled me access to these platforms. And so Kiss FM says, "Hey, yes, we'll do a basketball game with you." And so their Kiss Cards is the name of their team, and they were going to play against my team, and my team was put together with some players from Mount Vernon. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but there was like there's some NBA players, Gus and Ray Williams, and that there's like a little basketball players that I reached out to from Mount Vernon, and I asked them to play on my team, and then I wanted Puffy to serve as a player on my team as well. So that was going to be his thing. He was just, but he was going to promote it at the same time he was going to play on the team. Whether he did good or not, or he could play, that's neither here nor there. The point is that that's the way it was set up. But unbeknownst to me, Puffy went behind my back and he set up another basketball game that was set up for the day after my basketball game. He didn't say anything to me. He was just very hush hush about it. And I really didn't learn about it until the night of my basketball game. The night he didn't show up, which I had to kind of stand in for him, right, and play on my team that I set up against the Kiss Cards. And then when I leave my basketball game, by the way, mine was set in New Rochelle. I had this New Rochelle High School gymnasium. He set his up for CCNY. And why that's substantial is if you all know your Diddy background, right? You know that there was a big tragedy in New York where CCNY, there were like 9 people were trampled, and unalived. That's the word, right? And actually, it was 10 because one of them was pregnant. And so that was the game that I planned with him, if you understand what I'm saying. But what he did is he kind of took the energy. He had a relationship with Wendy Williams. Hey, I'm not even mad about how he did it, but at the end of the day, it was side-handed, it was underhanded, it was just snatching my idea. And hey, karma, right? I'm not even mad at him that he did it. I'm so glad I wasn't.
Wow. So this is a trip to me because Wendy Williams. So he's saying, he had a relationship with Wendy, and he did this behind his back when he had the relationship with Kiss. So Diddy took that, and then he did his own thing. But the fact that he did Wendy Williams, Diddy did the way he did her, like after using her probably multiple times, is crazy. And if we look at Wendy today, I wouldn't even say, some people like to say Wendy Williams is the way she is because of karma, because she talked bad about people. No, I think Wendy was done dirty, like Kim Porter, like everybody else. So she just lived, she's still living through it. But something happened to Wendy. But anyway, this guy, if you're just joining, is telling us about his experience with Diddy and how he's saying Diddy tried to unalive him. We haven't gotten to that part yet. The way he's explaining, it looks like he already has a book, and that Beautiful Spirit texted me that he's been telling his story for years. So I've never heard of him, but I guess because of where Diddy is currently, and all that's going on around his name, that he's now being heard. And so let's see what he has to say. Oh shoot, I forgot. My audio is from a different device. A second. All right.
Wasn't a part of it, right? So, but I was a little bit in my feelings, to be honest with you, because here you took my idea, you had all these artists, you could have made both of our bands successful just by, being honest and all right. But hey, you don't owe me anything. You know what I mean? He didn't owe me anything. So that said, what happened was that night after the stampede, everybody was looking for him. The news, the police, nobody knew who Puffy was. He was doing those parties that he was doing before then were pretty much underground. Nobody really knew about them. They weren't advertised large, anything like that. It was just all by word of mouth. To fill a club, 1,000 people, 1,500 people, word of mouth could do that if you're a celebrity, if you're throwing every celebrity's name on the flyer. For me, I got to buy radio time and I got peanuts to hopefully get the club filled. But for him, it was a little different. He had first mover advantage, like I said, those types of resources. And so that night, I'm at my dad's strip club. I'm in like the VIP area, and I'm ranting, I'm drinking, I'm carrying on, like talking shit about him, and not for nothing, but one of the people in the VIP area, he was like a writer for either the Post or the Daily News. And the next morning, I get a wake up call from Curtis and Lisa Sliwa. They had a radio show in New York called Curtis and Lisa in the Morning, and they called on ABC Radio, which is a huge broadcast, guys, huge, millions of listeners. And so how they got my phone number, I'll never know. But they called me, woke me up, and asked me, "Who's this?" And they're, Curtis is very. The Guardian Angels. Curtis Sliwa started the Guardian Angels, like a big deal in New York. They would stand in when there's big disruptions in New York. They would be their red berets, and they're really about protecting the streets. That's what they were, streets, right? Street soldiers, right? But they called me, "Who's this Puffy guy? Tell us about promotions. Tell us about how this happened, how all these people got caught in the stampede." And so I gave them my 2 cents as a talking head, right? And so that turned into something way more. After I spoke to Curtis, I started getting calls from Good Morning America and some other radio and TV people. But Richard Bay was sort of the Maury Povich of the day. He had a show called 9 Broadcast Plaza, and he sent a limousine. First of all, they call you, they vet you out. "Hey, we'd like to have you on our show this morning." So that morning, after I go on with Curtis and Lisa, I'm on the Richard Bay show, but I'm sitting there on a dais on the stage with William Kunstler, who's a legendary attorney, guys. I'm on the stage with Dougie Fresh, who's an entertainer. He might have been on the flyer, who knows? But he's definitely an entertainer, knowledgeable in hip hop. He's worthy of being on that stage. He knows, he knows the game of entertainment. So he might have been able to the entertainment quadrant of this conversation. From William Kunstler, who's going to talk about the legal stuff, and then they had Sister Soldier, right, who's the radical, not for nothing, but that's how they looked at her. And then also they had the families of the people that passed, right? And then they had me, and I was speaking, I guess, on behalf of promoters. So this is how, when on hindsight and how you put a show together, this is how the showrunners saw it, and this is how they set the platform up. So out of nowhere, I'm on television, explaining, just like I'm talking to you, Justin. I was explaining what might have happened, could have worked better, could have, if, what if, And so that's it. I didn't attack Puffy. I didn't speak poorly about him. I didn't have a vendetta against him, even though I had a little grudge on my shoulder. Nothing like that. But I will tell you this: the person that probably was more relevant in that room besides me was Misa. Misa is Puffy's first baby mama, and she wasn't on stage. She was in the audience with her little band of girls. And so when I got off stage, she got in my face like, "What are you doing out here?" I don't remember anything she said. All I remember is yak 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 yak, right? So of course she's a cheerleader for Puffy, right?
He knows his way around a long-winded story. I'll say that. And it's funny that Misa was in the audience while he was talking about how basically Puffy did him dirty. And he said he didn't say anything bad about him, but he's really putting them out on blast. And from what we know about Diddy, he does not like somebody to get the best of him, child. So I'm waiting to hear what actually happened, where he tried to unalive this guy, because clearly he's alive. So what happened? Like, get to it, dude. I just want to say, get to it. We know who Dana Dane is. You don't have to explain all that. All right. Let's get to this.
Having this kid in the pool in the Biggie video, you tell two friends and I'll tell two friends, and all of that. And so, not for nothing, but Misa lived on the same block as me in New Rochelle. Again, I'm from Mount Vernon, but I had moved to New Rochelle. And she lived on North Avenue, and I lived on North Avenue. So it's a small world. So that's really where it grew in anger from his point of view. Puffy being angry at me for being like on stage. I probably, to him, I didn't belong on stage. Like, why are you on stage talking about something that impacted my life? Hey, it is what it is. That's what happened. So I guess you want to you're the interviewer. You go ahead, Justin, do your thing.
No. I mean, you're great at storytelling. So, so you had the thing happen. The college game. You had all that happen. So, I guess that if you want to forward to the night that he pulled up on you, the first time.
Please fast forward. He should have fast forwarded 20 minutes ago. The first time, so there was more than one time he got pulled up on by Puffy. Let's listen.
Yes. So I had, and every week we would go driving. When I say we, it was me, Lance was my security, and I had an intern with me. And we're driving, going to restaurants and beauty salons and barbershops. I had a magazine. This is not, nobody's seen these, by the way, but this is my magazine. It's called The Superstar. And that's Isaac Hayes, and that's George Foreman. And, these are just magazines that I had. And what I would do is it would be flip side. So on one side, oh, I see, you see it. On one side, it would be one artist, and then on the other side, it would be the other. So I was able to have two front covers, if that makes sense. And so this is a magazine that I use as a device to sell advertisement. So in all of these magazines, there's advertisement, Pizza Hut, and beauty salons and barbershops, so on and so forth. So every week, my task was to go and collect money from people that advertised in my magazine, from the smaller businesses. The bigger businesses would cut checks. Smaller businesses, I had to go pick up money. And so the way it looks in New York is my routine would be to go from Westchester through the Bronx, through Harlem, and then downtown Manhattan. And so in Harlem, a guy named Gene, who was a big part of the music industry, big part of a lot of music, a lot of entertainers. He was set up with Suge Knight, and they were trying to set up what they call Death Row East, which was an East Coast version of what they were doing on with Death Row. And he had a T-shirt that said Death Row East on it, and I think I sent you a picture of what that looked like. There's a girl; she's got a she's got a T-shirt on, and that's the exact T-shirt.
We don't need to see the T-shirt. Get to it.
That he was giving out. He basically was giving out these T-shirts.
Oh my God.
And so I threw it on. He's like, well, did you support me? Because I know you're getting around and you're doing your thing. Maybe I didn't send it on.
You did. I'm going to get it pulled up right now. I'm working on it.
No,
you're good.
No. Say again.
I said you did. I'm just working. I forgot to add that to the list. I'll get it up while you're talking.
So I threw a T-shirt on. I threw that very T-shirt on, and I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't part of the East Coast, West Coast issues. I did my own thing in the tri-state New York area. For me, it wasn't like I am wearing the blue going into the red area or wearing the red.
All right. Yeah, it was like that. It wasn't really a real beef, in my opinion, but it turned into a real beef, East Coast, West Coast. And if you on the East Coast in Diddy land and you put on a Death Row East T-shirt, you definitely are in a Crip hood putting on a blood shirt. I don't know where this guy is even. This seems like a nerdy guy who he just still seems a little clueless as to what actually he was involved in. I wish he would just get to it. What did Diddy do? What? I can't listen to all of this. I can't. Okay.
The bandana going into the blue. It wasn't none of that. You understand? And so essentially, I threw the T-shirt on, just like as if I threw it over this. And we went about our business. Lance, myself, and Rico, who was my intern. And we called Downtime, which is downtown New York City. And Red Alert was playing that night. He had a very busy crowd every week. And so I went down. We passed this long line to go in. Club promoters basically give each other, juice card. So you get to walk in front of the crowd, right? To go in whenever you see lines. So they let me in, and I'm in there for an hour promoting the magazine, saying hi to people, walking through the club. When we left the club an hour later, the street was mobbed. When I say mob, I mean people standing in the street. There's cars, there's music. Nobody else is getting in the club because it's all sold out, and there's a fire marshal at the door. And so they're not letting anybody else in the club. And so it didn't matter to us. We were finished our day, and yeah, that was the shirt I was wearing. It didn't matter to us. We had finished our day, and we were heading home. So we go across the street is where I was parked. I get in the truck. I'm driving in a Suzuki Trooper Rodeo. Is it Rodeo? And or Trooper is different than a Rodeo. Rodeo, and then there's a Trooper. I had the Trooper stick shift. And Lance gets in the passenger seat, and Rico's in the back. And lo and behold, Puffy pulls up. Now he's not Diddy yet. He's still Puffy. But this, folks, is in 1996. The tragedy at CCNY took place in 1991. So 5 years had passed. And we had some other run-ins during that time. When I say run-ins, not aggressive, not nothing. Just like we saw each other. He saw me once at Madison Square Garden, at a back behind the scenes. There's one said he saw me at a Def Comedy Jam, and there was another time in the streets. So the point is like actually at the Palladium, the night that Biggie and Tupac did their live performance, very iconic piece, Party and Bullshit, that they did, and Puffy was there. That was the first time and the only time I got to meet Tupac, and me and Puff just we sort of squared up and shook hands and let bygones be bygones. So there's a few times that we've seen each other since the Richard Bay show, and what I'm about to share with you, which is the night I came out of that club. So to take you back, I'm in the truck. I'm in behind the driver's seat. Lance is in the passenger seat, and Rico's in the back. And lo and behold, Puff pulls up. He's in the passenger seat of a sports car, and Wolf is driving the car. And so he's basically taking orders from Puffy, because Puffy told him to pull up to my window to Rico. Rico's behind me. He says, "What's up to Rico?" Calmly, just says, "What's up to Rico?" And Rico's like, "What's up?" And then he pulls up to my window and he sees Lance. He kind of peeks his head around. I guess now I know what they were doing. They were casing me, trying to figure out what kind of danger I was, or what kind of threat I was. And so he looks around me and he says, "What's up?" to Lance, and Lance gives him like the head nod, "What's up?" And then to me he goes, "What's up, bitch?" So now I want to be clear. He's in his car in the passenger seat, and they pull up to my vehicle, and I'm in the driver's seat. So he's literally about 2 feet from me, saying, "What's up, bitch?" And I immediately went into kumbaya, and I says, "Dude, I'm minding my business. You mind your business. I don't want nothing to do with like this East Coast West Coast thing that he was doing." By the way, that was very popular beef between him and Suge Knight. I didn't want anything to do with it. I'm like, "Yo, bro, like just keep your shit over there. I'm my business and go about our way." "Nah, you a bitch." That was his response. So,
Quick question for you. So
Yeah.
were you, because I was trying to find the picture, were you wearing the Death Row E-shirt that night?
yes.
So that's probably what sparked it then.
That's
Duh.
what triggered it. Now remember, I told you earlier that night, Gene was giving out the T-shirt. If you remember what I said, and remember I said I threw it on over what I was wearing.
Yeah.
And then I went about my business with collecting money and going into clubs and stuff. So yes, I did have that on that night. But no, I never thought it would trigger anybody, because again, I wasn't a part of that. You understand? I'm a regional
Does
business owner. Regional.
Does he not understand what's happening? No one's reading your mind when you're wearing a T-shirt that has a statement on it. Nobody knows what your intentions are. Nobody's reading. If you had went on stage on a national TV show, put Pete Puffy on blast, and then however much later he comes, you wearing this T-shirt, that's compounding what you already have done. And then I'm not defending Diddy, but I'm just kind of like, dude, this guy seems so clueless about why he was at the end of Diddy's scope. Dude, you're wearing his arch enemy's T-shirt in his city. Like, are you crazy? And Diddy, we now know, is not. He's a dangerous dude. Wolf, who he said was driving him that night, he gave a green light to have him unaligned. BMF got rid of him with his permission, and that was his boy. That's the type of dude we're dealing with when it comes to Diddy.
In entertainment, I wasn't global like that. I didn't know anybody from the West Coast like that, entertainment wise. I mean, even on my show, they would try to, when they call you to promote you to get people on your show, they knew that like I was accommodating people that came into town. So you can't just have a rapper from the West Coast and think you're going to just send me a video and I'm going to put it on my show, unless it's something really like powerful. But you'd have to send the artist. And so my point is like I didn't really have affiliations like that on the West Coast. So
yeah. But with him, I think, depending on, I don't know what month, and you might not even remember. Do you remember what month this happened, that this went down? Right. If you don't, that's like, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time ago.
Well, here's the thing. Hit 'Em Up came out June 6th of 96.
Oh.
So if it was after that, he was on edge.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that we've seen enough things that song just scared the absolute crap out of him when Pop came at him that hard. So I'm wondering if that.
For sure, the environment, which is what you're getting at, the environment was hot. It wasn't hot for me though. I was very focused on my
Oh my
magazine,
God.
TV show, on my grind.
Okay, he's driving me crazy, y'all. He's talking about, oh, it wasn't hot for me. What makes you special? Are you kidding me right now? You're saying the environment was hot. Then why are you fueling the flames and wearing a Death Row East t-shirt? Come on. Like, that doesn't make any sense. This guy he's so clueless. And then he wrote a whole book out of a scenario no wonder he wrote a book out of it, because he's reading the book. Get to the point. I wish I had a timestamp for when he actually tells us. I want to know what Diddy did or tried to do besides call him a B. Come on, man. Come on.
And my hustle. I wasn't into that other stuff. But yes, and so yes, the shirt, not only the shirt, but me, right? And him, what'd you say? Oh, okay. I hear you. I still can't hear you.
I was letting the TikTok.
Now I can hear you.
I was letting the TikTok people know that if they wanted to see the shirt, they could jump over and see it.
Oh,
Sorry.
I see. No problem. So yes,
He done lost his place. Jeez.
The trigger was obviously there. Him knowing me, him seeing me as like somebody he would need to surpass, or somebody that he was surpassing. Not to say he woke up every day and say, I'm going to surpass Gilmore. Not that. But the point is, remember, I met him when he was an intern. And that was 5 years before. And he was growing exponentially in entertainment. And now he had his own record company, because after CCNY, Uptown had to fire him just to get rid of all of the. But they also helped him start Bad Boy, right? And so he was growing Bad Boy. So this was at its infancy. Bad Boy growing.
Wait, hold up. So he left Uptown, supposedly, even from Harrell's own standpoint, is because Diddy got too cocky. He got too big for his britches. I don't think it had to do with the college thing, but it could have, but I don't think so. But also, Clive Davis was the one who backed Bad Boy, not Uptown. So I don't know where he got that from. Just saying.
The new artists, whether it was Biggie or Mary or the Locks or Little Kim and Junior Mafia, all of that stuff. Anybody who was on Bad Boy, that was the environment. And so that I just wanted to give you an idea of what the environment was. It was hot. The Bad Boy artists, the Hit 'Em Up, the Top versus Big stuff, all of that was out there. But for me, again, I was super focused, and it really didn't matter to me. So yes, I was wearing that shirt. I do believe, on hindsight, that shirt was a trigger for him. But not just that. I had been on that show, the Richard Bey show, speaking about the CCNY tragedy. Number two, we were business partners on the basketball game, which, that whole karma thing and him stealing the game from me. And number three, I was senior to him. When I say senior, like you say, I'm 5 years older, but I was in the game before him. So the game of entertainment. So I don't know why he would see all that as a threat. My focus wasn't on him. Clearly his focus was on me. Otherwise, why would you pull up on me that night? Otherwise, why am I a bitch? Whatever's clever. It's just like, dude. So anyway, they let me out of the parking space. Okay, they backed the car up. And I wiggle out of the parking space and I pull forward. And at some point, Lance is like, he's behind you. So in other words, he doesn't want the parking space that we pulled out of. He's literally following me now. All right, I'm feeling safe. I'm in my trooper. I got my guys with me. What's he gonna do? So we turn the corner after the red light. And we're at Herald Square, New York City. So you all know Herald Square as where the Macy's Day Parade takes place every year. I sent you the book. Do you know there's a diagram in the book? There's a diagram in the book that shows this position of how
Negro.
my car was set up.
Jesus.
If you could say, do your little commercial break so I can pull it up, because
No.
it's very relevant.
Jesus. Nobody wants to see that.
Is it?
Justin then went to sleep. Let me see. Can I forward this? This is ridiculous. He got the diagram up. Okay, hold on. I mean,
and I didn't feel a threat. But what Wolf did was he pulled the vehicle over and forced me to the island there. And so it was about to be on. And Lance got out of the car and I got out of the car. And bro, when I got out of the car, I guess it was a moment of it was about to be a standoff of some kind. But before I even got to the point where we're near each other, shots rang out, and I realized that he wasn't alone. Like all of these thugs that had been following him had either gotten out of the car, they all got out of the car. It was just about to be a beatdown. It was like his little army out of nowhere. Shots and his I'm facing a small army. But it's not just me, it's also Lance. Lance had gotten out of the vehicle. So it's me and Lance like facing this little small army. But Lance quickly yells, "Gun, gun!" And at the same time, literally the same time, the shots popped off. And that's when I believe that God teleported me. I'm just like, I don't know how y'all feel about God. And I feel like God teleported me and put me back behind that steering wheel and put Lance back in the passenger seat. It wasn't like I pulled off and left Lance. Like we jumped the island and now it turned into a car chase. And so now I had these 5 cars chasing me down the one way. Now you can actually broaden the picture down Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue is actually crossing with 6th. 6th is the way you're supposed to go. That's the right of way. But I ended up going down Fifth Avenue against traffic. By the way, again, it's 1 a.m, so it's not a whole lot of traffic. But I'm driving down the one way, and then I make a left turn, and I'm going down another street. I actually drove on the sidewalk. Like a lot is going on, man. It's scary because I mean I understand, if you're going to war and you're prepared to go to war, your state of mind is war. But for me, it wasn't wartime; it was peace. I was out there, taking care of business, running my business. I didn't pull up on him. I didn't confront him. I didn't expect any confrontation. I didn't even expect confrontation by wearing that shirt. But by the grace of God, I escaped the fire, the firing. I want to say I'm trying to go with TikTok rules and everything, but we took fire, and I also like, what were they going to do if they caught me? So like a blitz, which like you're supposed to surprise your enemy. I'm not your enemy, but okay, I get it. But he turned me into his enemy that night, and honestly, I ran through a red light. I lost them. Almost got hit by an 18-wheeler coming through the right of way, and all I could feel at that moment was the energy, the anxiety, the frustration, the angst. Just like we were it was on. I just wanted street justice. you know what I mean? I just wanted I wanted to retaliate. I didn't go into the police station, police reports, none of that. That was not even in my, you know.
And if I may interject for
Yeah.
people listening who are young and don't remember what it was like, and look, and I'm saying this as a white dude, but like people who don't remember what it was like in the 90s for the black community, the police would not have probably been a help anyways. That's just kind of how it went back then, unfortunately.
Well, they weren't going to be a help either because Diddy probably, well, at that time, I guess he didn't have the police in his back pocket. Maybe not at that time. But yeah, I mean, you could get away with a lot more back then. Cell phones, I think 96. I think we did have cell phones. Did we have cell phones in 96? They were those big banana phones probably. But it wasn't like it is today. And I don't know, Diddy had all them people, he had planned that. That was a planned attack on this guy. Or maybe he was just out in the streets. He could have been just out in the streets being a menace that night. And um, he was definitely being a bully, like somebody put on this guy's screen. He was being a bully. He was being Diddy. He didn't have obviously nothing else to do. It's a shame that Wolf and whoever else, he had 5 car fulls of people. All those people had nothing else to do but to mess with this little soft little nerd who clearly is a clueless person because you're wearing a Death Row E shirt in New York in a club that Diddy knows people. You're gonna get snitched on. You know, this is crazy. I'm done with this story. If you guys want to get the rest of it, this channel is what is this channel? Just in the Nick of Crime is the channel. Let me subscribe because I haven't subscribed. I think he's following this Diddy stuff. I could put the link. Well, I'm not putting the link. Y'all can find if y'all want to see this. Justin the Nick of Crime is the channel. Okay. Moving on because I that took longer than I thought it was going to take. So I also wanted to show y'all something else I came across today. Actually, I guess Diddy had tried to start a YouTube series called Diddy Today on Diddy Plus 6. It was Diddy on Plus 6, which was also the name of the Hulu show that was canceled during filming. They were filming this year, I think, and also last year before the raids. I think when the raids happened and they paused, and then now that he's been arrested, I doubt that. I mean, honestly, this would be the best time to film a reality show. I think that's why his kids tried to promote the fact they're doing a vlog, a behind the scenes vlog, because people are paying attention. What better time to promote products and promote themselves? I mean, they're going to have to make a living somehow. If Diddy's money stops paying the bills, we see Justin already owes money for his car. But I wanted to share this because there's short clips. There's 3 of them. There's only 3 of them in the playlist on his channel, but they're only a couple minutes. But I just want you guys to pay attention to his interaction with his kids. They're different clips, but I'm gonna actually play it from the actual YouTube. Hopefully, I don't get struck. But actually, let me pull it up on my phone. Which one is this? My son dropped an album. Okay. My son just dropped. Okay, so this one is focusing on Christian and the fact that Christian dropped an album, and I think Christian has friends over, and Diddy, I guess he didn't have nothing to do that night, child. So
Change my son just dropped his album. I want to see what they're doing here. If they really doing it the way it's supposed to be done. What's up? What's going on? What's good? What's up, man? You all right? Yeah. Everything all right? Good. This the trap house in Miami, you know what I'm saying? The trap house. We're in the midst of it.
down the music. But so Diddy is getting his Diddy on. His boy, his son Christian celebrating, I guess his album drop, and Diddy celebrating with him. Why didn't he have another album? Why was this his only album? And this was, I think, one of the only songs I remember hearing from that album, which is a very popular sample. I'll Be Good. Hey, that was the bop. But Diddy is that embarrassing parent coming in, dancing and carrying liquor around.
So it's all good. Get off my back. I'm on the dance floor. We'll be in the streets, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all have it. Feeling right? See, it's a special occasion, you know what I'm saying? My son just dropped his I'm celebrating, you know? I dropped the album today. Look at my shades, though. Oh, the suit. Nigga, I'm your daddy, nigga. Your future looks bright. Super bright. Damn, these kids is off the chain, man. Hey, yo. Y'all got more girls coming in this thing, man? Huh? There's more girls coming in here, man. I know your sisters in there. I'm putting y'all on blast. Don't be having all this around your sisters. Bro, don't be having all this around your sisters. What y'all doing, man? You don't know if you got some holes, some dots. I don't want nothing like that around my queens. None of that energy. Be clear. Queen shit only. Get that shit out my house. It's a new episode of Diddy Plus 6, the real shit.
Okay, so he's definitely on one in that clip. Wait, he was definitely on one. And let me go back. Let me go to where he claimed these girls showed up, or they did show up. Let me see. Right here. So he sees these girls, if you could barely see them. I mean, they could be young girls. Christian just turned 21, so they could be young girls, but it's been rumored. I see a lot of people reporting on the fact that Diddy was serving the prostitutes up to his sons at early ages. So by him reacting that way makes sense, because he knows that it's going to be sex whenever the girls are around, and he don't want his daughters around, is what he's saying. He don't want his daughters, his queens, around the BS. And this is the BS he introduced to his sons. And they know this is an everyday occurrence, probably. Them girls are probably used to seeing all of this, unfortunately. But I'm going to move on to the next one. Let's see. Can I find the next one? Let's see. I'll do this one, I guess. Okay. Let's see. Where is it? Here we go.
When am I going to feel like this is going to be?
But for the first or hold your breath.
Hold my breath?
That's what I mean. No. Everything's good. So, you want to know something about that nose thing?
Yes.
Okay, so I want you to try it.
Alright.
In the different states and all that.
Yeah. Y'all actually went and bought this thing?
And I did it too. If you want me to do it first, I'll do it first.
I'll do it. You know, Daddy likes living on the edge, man.
So you put the two things up your nose like that.
Right there.
But make sure to hold it like that. And like once you take out your nose, you're gonna need to cause water come out. And then you press the button firmly, not yet.
Am I gonna feel like I'm drowning or something?
Exactly.
When am I gonna feel like it's gonna get?
But for the first few seconds, it's like
Hold my
weird.
breath.
That's what I need. No, their face don't. It's easier.
But okay, let's go.
First you do this, you press the button, you just go.
I need to do it. I need to do it right.
Look in there. Look this music. Oh my God.
Oh, do I need to do more?
Yes.
Oh my God, so I've been doing it wrong?
Like swallowing your snot.
Yo, did not tell me that.
And like, don't breathe. Don't look like that. Please don't look like that. Look. See, now it's better. Good job.
Hey, yo, come on, man.
Oh, goodness. That's the most I've ever seen.
You've got a lot of
Okay. You good with contraptions.
Wow.
Oh, you got a lot of snot right now.
I thought it wasn't nasty.
I'll drink her snot. It's gonna go.
No.
Not today, though.
How creepy was that? I'll drink your snot. I'll drink your snot. You my daughter. That is the creepiest, like, seriously. Let me go back. You've got a lot of
Okay. You good with contraptions.
Wow.
Oh, you got a lot of snot right now. I'll drink her snot. It's gonna go.
No.
Not today, though.
Not today, though, but later when the cameras are off, right, Diddy? Ugh, just gross. There's another one, but there's a lot of music in it. It's him with the girls. They are performed with Diana Ross. They did "Stop in the Name of Love" and they danced. The girls danced on stage with her. That had a creepy moment in it too, but I'm not gonna play that one. But I just want to show y'all he is gross, and I don't know. I just don't know about him and these kids. I hate to even go there. I'm not even gonna go there, y'all. I'm not gonna go there. Not tonight. I can't. So I'm moving on off of Diddy Child. Enough of that disgustingness, onto some more disgustingness. I did want to talk about the Menendez Brothers case. I did talk about that in a live the other day or whatever, but I wanted to talk about their dad, because so if you guys aren't up to speed with this Menendez Brothers case and what's going on, these guys have been in prison now for 35 years. They were sentenced back in 1989 for unaliving their parents in a very brutal way with shotguns, from what I recall. And it was because they said their father, Jose Menendez, was SAing them and had been throughout all their childhoods. When they were arrested and when they were sentenced, they were 18 and 21 years of age. They had two separate trials. The first trial, the SA was introduced, the jury was deadlocked, so they had to have a second trial. The second trial, for some reason, somehow, some way, it was disallowed. They were disallowed for introducing the SA into the trial. They could not say that they were SA'd during the trial. So how do they defend themselves? They couldn't. And that's why they ended up with 35. Well, they ended up with life in prison with no parole. And it's been 35 years. So there's been 2 documentaries within this past year, I think. The first one has to do with the dad and a business partner of his and the group Menudo. I don't know if any of you guys remember the group Menudo. They were, I believe, Puerto Rican young men who were big. I mean, the group was huge. And what they were doing was switching them out when they hit a certain age. I think 16. I think 16 was the age. Once they hit that age, they were out and they got replaced. And people knew that. Nobody cared because they loved the group. I don't know why the group was, Menudo was just, they were everywhere. They were huge. And come to find out, the Menendez brothers' father, I did not know this man was in the music industry. He was a music industry exec. He worked for RCA Records, which so Clive Davis also worked as an executive for RCA Records. I don't know that it was during the same time frame, though. That's the thing. However, it doesn't matter because as a music industry executive molesting your sons, and now we're learning he also molested, or he's accused of molesting one of the Menudo boys when he was 14, and he's telling his story now. But a little bit about this guy. Okay. Let's see. So what they say about Jose and his mother is Kitty, and they unalived both their mother and father. But it was the father who was accused of SAing. And I'm going to just read a little bit about the father before I show y'all the Menudo member talking about his experience. So it says that the Menendez family seemed to be a perfect model of the American dream, at least by the 1980 standards. Jose, the dad, was born in Cuba. He immigrated to the United States as a teenager after the Cuban Revolution of the 1950s and lived in the attic of his cousin's home until he earned a college scholarship for swimming. In college, he met Mary Louise Anderson, a beauty pageant queen, who everyone called Kitty, and was a couple years older than him. They married in the early 1960s and moved to New York City, where Jose earned an accounting degree from Queens College. He then rose from washing dishes to working as a successful young entertainment executive. After leading the U.S. operations of car rental company Hertz, Jose spent the early 80s as the head of RCA Records. How he went to leading operations at a rental car company to being executive at a record label, I'm curious about. But he did end up at RCA Records and had a hand in signing bands such as Duran Duran. Anybody remember Duran Duran? The Eurythmics. Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? And Menudo. With their sons, Lyle and Eric, the Menendez family moved from Princeton, New Jersey to Los Angeles just a few years before the unalivings, so that Jose could take a job in the movie business. So he was not only just in the music industry, he was moving into film. So he was making all the right connections, the dad, right? The house where Jose and Kitty were unalived was located on one of the most exclusive blocks in Beverly Hills and it was at different times occupied by Michael Jackson and Elton John. So this is how large they were living, right? 2 people from Cuba, or he was from Cuba. He was an immigrant and he met the wife in college, right? So here they are living on the hog. Now, the Menendez brothers also seem to fit the platonic idea of Reagan-era United States. Lyle was a star tennis player and seemed destined for a career in business like his father. The father he openly worshipped. Eric turned out to be even better at tennis, helped along by his father's obsessive intervention, and wound up as a nationally ranked player in his age bracket. So they're talking about before the unalivings, as these guys were growing up, they excelled. And they said their father was obsessive over their perfectionism. In a sense, they had no choice but to be successful. Jose was known as a driving father who worked his children to the bone, athletics and everything else. It seemed like Jose was so competitive, he was doing everything he could to try to make Eric better. The brothers' former swim team coach told the Los Angeles Times back in 1990, but he was so completely overbearing, it had the opposite effect. Eric had so much confidence because everything he did was never good enough. They say after they moved to California, Eric took teenage rebellion to an extreme and took part in a string of burglaries in 1988. He avoided jail time but attended court-ordered therapy with this doctor. Lyle enrolled in Princeton University but was suspended for a year for plagiarism, portending trouble in the years to come. So they were doing well, but yet they were getting in trouble. One of them's robbing folks. The other one is stealing words and whatever he's copied from a book or a magazine or whatever. He stole from somebody to do a paper in college at Princeton. Was it Princeton? Let me make sure. Yeah, Princeton. Come on now. You can't get away with stuff like that. So it says the Menendez unalivings were brutal. 45-year-old Jose, 47-year-old Kitty. Oh, she was older. A little cougar. Were not so much unalived as rendered nearly unidentifiable by 15 rounds. 15 rounds from two 12-gauge shotguns. It was so barbaric that police thought the unalivings were a mob hit, and early investigations focused on business rivals and a foreign executive, which is replace the F with the P. I can't really say it, but who had a bone to pick with Jose. So the boys weren't even suspects at first. They were still living in the house after the fact. And it says the night of the unalivings, the brothers told police they'd gone out that night to see a movie, but had to make a pit stop to retrieve Eric's ID. And that's when they discovered their parents' bodies and dialed 911, they said. And the officers who arrived at the scene said that they were sobbing on the lawn before they entered the crime scene. And then in the months that followed the slayings, neither Menendez brother acted like young men who had recently found both of their parents unalived. I guess one of them, they acted like two guys who had just won the lottery. Jose was worth $14 million at the time of his unaliving, and within 6 months, the brothers had spent an estimated $700,000. And Lyle, who was 21 at the time, he purchased a Rolex, a Porsche, lots of clothing, a restaurant back in Princeton, and a back in Princeton where he had been living before the unalivings. And Eric was a little more practical. He got a Jeep Wrangler, $50,000 personal tennis coach, and a $40,000 investment in a rock concert that never happened. So they're just blowing money after the fact. And they also took exotic vacations, thinking they had even more money coming to them. And there was a $5 million life insurance policy on their father, though technicality stopped them from collecting. So at some point, they had a taped confession. But the thing is, them spending that money like that, it gave the prosecution the opportunity to say that's why they did it, because they wanted to get rid of their parents and have the money. But when it came to the abuse, they, I guess initially used that as their reasoning. But again, the jury was deadlocked and they had to have another trial. Second time around, sorry, you cannot introduce that abuse. Sorry, yeah, that is unfortunately not going to be a part of your defense. So, they got life without parole. Now, the father, after he passed, it seemed like to me, after understanding that the father business, now I realized that the cover-up wasn't just to, get them put away just for the sake of it. It was to protect the industry. If this guy and this other guy partner he had, who was also working with Menudo, were abusing these boys as well as his own children. And it came out that, oh, he's in the music industry. And then maybe because of testimonies, other things were going to be able to be introduced and questioned, and more other people may have even been brought into the fold because of the fact that this man was a music industry executive, an RCA executive, as well as I believe he started his own company as well, Live Entertainment. That company is actually still operating and it's worth millions of dollars. He also, they said in that article, was going into film. So the dad had his fingers in a lot of pies, and he was prosperous and thriving. And at the same time, a cruel monster essaying his children as well as other children. And so I want to move over to one of the other children who is speaking out. If I could get this TikTok to come up. Okay. I think I'll start with this.
Largely excluded from their second trial, where they were convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Among the pieces of evidence now being reviewed by investigators and part of their petition for freedom, an affidavit from a former member of the band accusing their father, Jose Menendez, a high-powered music executive, of rape, which was detailed in the Peacock docuseries Menendez and Menudo, Boys Betrayed.
José Menéndez me dijo, toma este vino, es un vino carísimo, y tómate toda la taza.
He said, Jose Menendez gave me wine. It was very expensive wine.
Something the district attorney says he couldn't.
But for the documentary, quite frankly, we probably would not be talking at this point.
But originally, Lyle killed for money, and they're.
So that's just basically summing up the fact that they weren't able to use this abuse, and the fact that they were spending money like they were because they were young. They didn't know any better. I mean, they just unalived their parents with shotguns. I mean, these guys were off their rockers at this point. But I think the abuse obviously had to do with the mentality. But I'm going to play this.
Something that is not talked about enough in reference to the Menendez family. This is a Puerto Rican boy band known as Menudo. They were brought to American audiences by Jose Menendez himself. Jose was a record executive for the band. He is the one who suggested the boys be rotated out once they were 16 or too old. He could be seen at many of their shows. The youngest boy in the group, Ricky Martin, became...
You guys remember Ricky Martin, don't you? Yeah, he was the youngest one in the group at the time of its forming or creation.
The star of the band. Ricky denies he ever met Jose,
So Ricky denies ever meeting Jose, but they've been pictured together. Jose was the one who brought the group to RCA from what they're saying. So there is no way he didn't know him. Obviously, he was disassociating himself because for Ricky Martin to have become the star that he did, obviously he went through this.
They have been pictured together. It was found that the young boys were being molested by the managers of the band. An investigator confirmed that Jose was involved in molestation allegations with an unnamed member of Menudo. Could Ricky coming forward help people believe the Menendez brothers were molested by their father?
So this is
something that is not talked about.
This is before the reinvestigation and the possible now refreeing, because I believe the DA has already filed the paperwork with the judge to resentence them. And if this happens, they're going to be free. So this is obviously before that, or it might have had to do with that documentary. There's been 2 documentaries. Okay, so this is the guy, now an adult, who was in the group Menudo, and he's talking about what happened to him.
What do you remember about those days?
Esto fue después.
Oh, I forgot.
El contrato.
I forgot it's in Spanish, but I'm going to just stop it and read what he says because I don't know if you guys can see the screen that well. But he says this was an offer, and This was after we signed the contract, he said.
After we signed the contract, Platin Record, RCA, a todo rock.
Big accomplishment.
Yes, that's the man here that raped me. This guy
And that's
was
Jose.
the pedophile. And this guy raped me so many times.
And that guy is the Menudo manager.
So many times.
You, on the far right. How old were you there?
14 years old. But I met Menendez before Edgardo signed the contract with our.
So the first time you met Jose Menendez was inside the limousine.
Yes.
in New York.
Yes, the first time.
Menudo was in New York.
Yes.
You were taken out to the Menendez house in New Jersey
Yes.
in the limousine.
Yes.
What was Edgardo saying to you?
Que yo iba a hacer algo grandioso
He said that I was going to do something great for Menudo.
para Menudo. Que yo le iba a hacer un favor a Menudo y a él también.
That I was going to do a favor. Let me see. Oh,
What do you remember?
hold on. I lost the place. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Try this again.
How old were you there?
14 years old. But I met Menendez before Edgardo signed the contract with RCA.
So he met Menendez first.
So the first time you met Jose Menendez was inside the limousine.
Yes.
in New York.
Yes, the first time.
Menudo was in New York.
Yes.
You were taken out to the Menendez house in New Jersey
Yes.
in the limousine.
Yes.
What was Edgardo saying to you?
Que yo iba a hacer algo grandioso para Menudo. Que yo le iba a hacer un favor a Menudo y a él también.
So he told this kid, you're going to do something great for Menudo. You're going to do them a huge favor as well as me. Okay, so he's putting this pressure on this kid.
Él me dijo, hoy va.
He said, today we're having dinner at the house.
En la casa del presidente
President from RCA.
de RCA. Cuando yo entro en la limusina, yo veo Menendez
He said, when I got in the limousine, I see Menendez looking at me
mirándome con los ojos queriendo comerme.
as if he wanted to devour me. Disgusting.
Yo vi que él tenía otras
He said, I saw he had other intentions for me.
intenciones conmigo. Mis pies temblaron. Yo estaba
My feet trembled. I was very nervous.
muy nervioso. Cuando llegué
When I arrived for dinner at the Menendez house,
a la casa de los Menéndez, ellos tenían dos hijos.
they had two sons. I saw them both.
Ya los dos. Uno estaba sentado bien en el pasillo de la entrada
One was sitting at the entrance hallway
con una cara tan triste.
with such a sad look on his face.
Ni me saludó.
He didn't even say hello.
Yo sentí el clima cuando yo entré en esa casa.
He said, I felt a dark, negative vibe in that house.
Sentí el clima de
It was the energy of abuse.
abusos. Yo sentí un clima tan pesado, tan
And it was such a heavy, negative atmosphere.
cargado, tan negativo en esa casa, que yo me sentí mal.
It made me feel sick.
What happened next?
Yo me senté
I sat down
en la mesa
at the table
del comedor.
of the dining room.
Comenzaron a hablar.
They started to talk.
Was talking Edgardo and Menendez. Y al momento me ofrecieron
And they offered me a glass of wine. Mind you, he's 14.
una copa de vino. Yo tenía 13 años.
Oh, 13, excuse me. He said I was 13.
Edgardo no acostumbraba a hacer
Edgardo didn't normally serve alcoholic beverages, he said.
bebidas alcohólicas. También hay ese punto.
There's that detail too.
José Menéndez me dijo, toma este
He said, Jose Menendez told me, drink this wine.
vino. Es un vino
It's a very expensive wine, so finish it all, he told him.
carísimo. Y tómate toda la taza. Después que yo me la tomé,
After I drank the glass of wine,
yo me comencé a sentir un cansancio,
I started to feel tired and heavy.
un peso. Yo no podía más moverme.
He said I couldn't move anymore.
A partir de ese momento, yo solamente
From that point on, everything looked blurry.
veía cosas como que desenfocadas. Alguien me empujó.
Someone pushed me.
Alguien me cargó.
Someone carried me.
Alguien trying to push me.
Someone tried to push me.
Y yo caminé un pasillo bien largo.
I walked down a very long hallway.
Y había un cuarto.
There was a room.
Yo no podía
He said I couldn't react
reaccionar porque eso me
because I had no control over my body.
estaba tomando cuenta de mi cuerpo. Me drogaron.
They rugged me with the D on in the first letter. The D is the first letter. They rugged me.
Y después de eso, yo amanecí
After that, I woke up in the hotel.
en el hotel. ¿Cómo yo llegué al hotel? Yo no sé.
I have no idea how I got to the hotel.
Pero cuando yo fui al baño,
But when I went to use the bathroom, I was bleeding.
I was bleeding. Y yo estuve una semana con un dolor terrible.
I was in terrible pain for a week.
Con un dolor que no podía más.
I could barely stand the pain. I couldn't even move.
No me podía ni mover. Yo me acuerdo que yo tenía que simular
I had to pretend I wasn't in pain,
que yo no estaba con dolor, pero el dolor estaba tomando cuenta de mi vida.
but the pain was unbearable.
Que era un dolor terrible.
I was in terrible pain.
Y sangré muchísimo.
And I bled a lot. Ugh.
Y yo le mostré a Edgardo, mira Edgardo.
I showed Edgardo, look, Edgardo, and this is the business partner.
Mira, nos está
My anus is bleeding.
sangrando.
He said, relax.
Tranquilo. Ya luego
It will heal soon.
te va a sanar. Ya luego tú estarás listo.
You'll be ready again soon.
Eso fue lo que yo pasé.
That's what I went through.
Después yo caí en cuenta que Edgardo
After I realized Edgardo had signed the contract with RCA,
firmó el contrato con RCA.
oh, he's saying after that happened, that's when he got the contract.
It's heartbreaking
So,
these stories.
sounds like
To hear these stories of
so the Edgardo guy took them to Jose for a contract, and that's how he ended up doing the favor. What he asked him for the favor, it was to do that so they could get the contract. And Jose Menendez brokered that, and that makes him the devil. in my opinion. Like, come on. These are children. He was 13 years old at that time. I don't know where his parents were or any of that. People in the comments are like, this is before. So this was, I guess, before the DA came out and said he was going to try to get these guys out. But people are like, this is why the brothers need to get out. Where was his parents of this young man? They need to free the brothers. So everybody's all concerned about those brothers. And even Kim Kardashian came out talking about, oh, they're so kind and they're so, they need to be free. I can't say I disagree because of the fact that they weren't able to introduce the abuse into the trial. So, but the unaliving, the way they chose to do that, man, it was so brutal. But what do you say to a victim who's been brutalized their whole life and they're mentally exhausted and spent and probably a little bit deranged? You have to put on a front. You have to live like two different lives, maybe even more than two, when you're suffering that type of abuse as a child. You have to go out into the world and act like life is okay. So that messes up your head. As a child, you're still developing, right? You don't know anything. Like, you're just new in the world. And then your father, who's supposed to be your protector, your provider, your protector, the person who loves, guides you, is doing this to you, hurting you the most, more than anybody should be. Like, nobody is supposed to be violating anybody like that anyway, let alone your parents. I think it's just unbelievable. I can't even wrap my mind around this. And this man, he was an immigrant from Cuba. Mind you, when he was in Cuba, he was a well-known soccer player. So he had probably a bunch of women after him. He didn't want them women. He did not want them women. And then the mother, did she not know this was going on? The mother was also a well-known athlete. She was a swimmer, and she was elected to Cuba's Sports Hall of Fame. Oh, so they did meet. Did they meet in Cuba? Yeah, although the family, they weren't among the elite. His parents, Jose's parents, excuse me, they were the celebrity athletes, not Jose. So his parents were celebrity athletes. He and his two sisters didn't want for a thing because his parents had it popping. But he was uprooted from all of that because of Fidel Castro. They sent him here into the States, and he had to live in his cousin's attic. He had nothing, and he had to hide out in the attic because he didn't have citizenship. So his father went through a lot. I don't know how he got into the industry. Maybe it was because he is a PDF file, and that maybe got him into the industry. He met the right people, because if this is the type of behavior that he was about, then he'd been doing this, and he probably met other people who were also doing this type of stuff. I don't think the internet, no, there was not no internet, dark web, or anything like that at that time. So these people met up in their sick little cult rooms and wherever. I don't know how they did it, but they did. And he brokered himself a position as an executive in the industry where it's run by PDF files. The industry is that's exactly the cesspool that made him feel at home. And so because of that, though, it cost him his life, him and his wife's life, his behavior, because those kids, honestly, what else? I mean, they didn't know what to do. I don't know how they decided to do that, but the shotguns. But yeah. What's up, Ice Kid? Dang, some Diddy Kool-Aid too. Yes, yes, Diddy Kool-Aid. So the association with the Menendez brothers' father, who worked at RCA, to Clive Davis, and not even to Clive Davis, but to the industry as a whole, doing this just egregious essaying to these children and being protected by the industry. And somehow, some way, they were able to finesse that judge in the second trial, not allow the SA to come into play. And this is what it was. It was the industry protecting the industry. They did not want that Jose's Menendez's business clouding their industry because they were all doing it. That's the thing. They were all doing it. This is why Diddy got indoctrinated into this type of behavior, because this was the test you had to pass in order to get into the class, child. You couldn't get into the industry in a high ranking position at that, especially or as an artist. Look at Diddy. He was a dancer, start intern, and he started doing A&R. Next thing you know, he's not only cultivating artists, but he's all up in the videos. You know what I'm saying? He's doing his thing. Then after he got rid of Big, he then took the stage as trying to be the star. Every breath, like that's why he has to pay Sting for that music that he stole because he didn't pay for it. I think Steve said $5 million a day. I don't know, however much he has to pay Sting. It's a lot of money because he went and made that song and didn't get permission to use that sample. And he had no business doing that song anyway. All of that was on Biggie's back. And I can't stand that to this day. Now that I go back to that music, his stamp is all over it. You know, it's really sad how this has all been happening all of these years. I mean, this has been going on. RCA Records was founded in 1900. That's how far back these labels go. Radio, they're the ones that introduced, they say, jazz and blues into mainstream music, because jazz and blues at that time wasn't considered real music. They didn't even consider it legitimate music. Just like hip hop, when they said, oh, it's a fad. Oh, but now look. And that's why they had to infiltrate it, because they didn't want us to have hip hop the way it was moving and blowing up to ourselves. They wanted to control it and use it to manipulate the people, the culture, and they have done that. So, child, with all that being said, 2 hours and I wasn't planning on that, but I appreciate you for hanging out with me, and go back into the replay if you missed the previous things. We talked about Diddy and his new lawsuits and the BOP raid that happened today at the jail he's at, and the fact that I think he was behind that raid, to be honest. I saw a report somewhere that he had gotten attacked a couple of days ago. I don't know if that's true or not, but that could be why too. Like, they need to get all the weapons. They need to make sure that Diddy is safe, child. Because as it stands, he ain't safe. He ain't safe. He's trying to get his bail approved and get on out of there so he can get on his private jet and skedaddle. He wants to get to Cuba, wherever else he could get to, so he doesn't have to face the music, child. And no pun intended. But with that being said, you ain't gotta go home. But you know what I'm gonna say.
Toodles, toodaloo, move around, go on somewhere, do you, get on, scat, bye, dip, flee.
Peace, love, and joy to all of y'all. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and also hit up Blaze Adams 24/7, my other channel. Different topics over there. And until next time, peace.